Nobody saw you coming. That was the whole point. While samurai warriors were celebrated in the open, their armor gleaming, their names spoken with reverence, the ninja operated in a completely different world. A world of shadows, silence, and secrets that most people in feudal Japan pretended did not exist. But they existed all right. And the truth about what it actually took to become one is nothing like the movies show you. There was no dramatic moment where a master handed you a black suit and told you that you were ready. The ninja world had a structure, a hierarchy, a series of ranks that each demanded something completely different from you. And the higher you climbed, the less visible you became. This is your life as every rank in the ninja world. Rank 1, Shoshinsha, the absolute beginner. You did not choose to become a ninja the way you might choose a career today. In most cases, you were born into it. The ninja, or shinobi as they were properly called in Japan, came primarily from specific clans, the most famous being the Iga and Koga clans of feudal Japan. If you were born into one of these families, your training began before you were old enough to understand what it was for. As a Shoshinsha, an absolute beginner, your childhood looked normal on the surface. You played, you learned to read and write, you helped your family with daily tasks. But underneath all of that, something else was being built. Balance training started young. Walking along narrow beams, crossing stepping stones in rivers, learning to move quietly across wooden floors, a skill that sounds simple until you realize how much practice it takes to completely eliminate the sound of your own footsteps. You were also taught to observe, to sit in a room and afterwards recall every detail. How many people were present, what they were wearing, where each person was looking, which door was closest to each of them. This was not a game. This was the foundation of intelligence gathering, which was the ninja's most valuable skill, and the one most people forget about entirely. Because here is the thing about the ninja that popular culture almost always gets wrong. The ninja were not primarily assassins. They were primarily spies, information collectors. People who could enter a place, learn everything that was happening inside it, and leave without a single person knowing they had been there. The sword and the throwing stars came much later. First came the mind. Rank 2, Shugyo-sha, the dedicated trainee. Physical training now becomes your entire life. And I mean that literally. You are not squeezing training sessions in around other responsibilities. Training is the responsibility. Everything else is secondary. The physical curriculum of a shinobi trainee was unlike anything else in the ancient world. It covered what they called the 18 disciplines of the ninja, a framework that included unarmed combat, sword techniques, staff fighting, throwing weapons, fire and explosives, horsemanship, swimming, disguise, and more. Each discipline required years of dedicated work to even reach basic competency. But the one that surprises people most is the disguise training. A shinobi was trained to convincingly become 7 different types of person: a traveling monk, a merchant, a farmer, a performing entertainer, a mountain priest, a normal samurai, and a common tradesperson. Not just wear the costume, actually become them. The walk, the speech patterns, the mannerisms, the specific knowledge that person would need to answer questions naturally without raising suspicion. Think about what that takes. You are not just memorizing information, you are rebuilding your entire personality from scratch 7 different times and being able to switch between them on demand. The physical training at this stage was brutal, but it had a specific philosophy behind it. Unlike the samurai who trained to win direct confrontations, the shinobi trained to avoid direct confrontation entirely. Speed over strength, evasion over collision. The goal was never to win a fight, The goal was to complete the mission and return home without anyone knowing you had been there. If you had to fight, something had already gone wrong. Rank 3, Chunin, the middle rank, field operative. You are now a working shinobi. The Chunin was the operational backbone of the ninja world, not yet a leader, but far beyond a student. You received real missions, real intelligence assignments, real operations in the field, where the consequences of failure were not a failed examination, they were capture, torture, or death. Your missions at this level were primarily intelligence-based. You might be sent to observe the movement of an enemy daimyo's army and report back the numbers, the route, and the timing. You might be planted in a household for weeks or months as a servant, slowly building trust while carefully noting every conversation, every plan, every vulnerability. The patience required for this was extraordinary. You could not rush, you could not improvise carelessly. One inconsistency in your cover story, one moment of reaching for information too quickly, one night where your curiosity pushed you to look somewhere you should not have, and everything ended. Chunin also began to specialize at this rank. Some became experts in what we would today call psychological operations, spreading carefully planted rumors that caused confusion and distrust within enemy camps without a single weapon being drawn. Others specialized in sabotage, entering supply lines at night and making small, calculated damage that would only be discovered later at the worst possible moment. The black suit, by the way, mostly a myth. Real shinobi on night operations dressed in dark navy blue rather than black, because pure black actually stands out against the night sky. Navy disappears into it. Even in their camouflage, the ninja chose what actually worked over what looked dramatic. That philosophy ran through everything they did. Rank 4. The Jonin, the Shadow Master. Most ninja never reached this rank. The Jonin was the highest level of the shinobi world, the master, the strategist, the person who designed and directed the operations rather than carrying them out personally. And here is the thing about the Jonin that makes them so fascinating. At this level, the most important skill was not physical at all. It was the ability to understand people, their fears, their ambitions, their blind spots, their loyalties, and the precise points where those loyalties could be questioned. A Jonin did not just send operatives on missions. A Jonin engineered situations. They studied an enemy and identified not just the physical vulnerabilities, the poorly guarded gate, the predictable patrol route, but the human vulnerabilities. The advisor who felt underappreciated, the general whose pride made him predictable, the servant who had a grievance that had never been addressed. Then they pulled the threads. Some of the most significant military outcomes in feudal Japanese history were decided not on the battlefield but in the information war conducted by shinobi networks operating across months and years. Castle walls fell not because someone broke through them from the outside, but because someone on the inside had been quietly turned long before the army arrived. The Jonin was also the keeper of knowledge. The ninjutsu techniques, the clan's intelligence networks, the 17 generations of accumulated knowledge about specific regions, specific families, specific weaknesses, all of this lived in the Jonin. They were the living library of everything the clan knew, and they shared it carefully, only to those who had demonstrated over years of service that they could be absolutely trusted with it. The higher you rose in the ninja world, the smaller the number of people who knew your name. At Jonin level, most of your own operatives did not know who you were. You remained a shadow, even to the shadows.